it's like, yeah, it's like comedy and empathy and, you know, being a human to other people and, you know, making eye contact with somebody on the train when there's a weird situation and being like, yeah, we're both in it together. Like, to me, that's
Yes.
like, it's like free real estate. It's easy. It doesn't cost any money. Doesn't, you know, doesn't require anything except a little bit of, I don't know what it requires. I hope I have it. You know, my life has been trying to get more mindful and trying to, you know, have more, you know, forgive myself a little bit for my mistakes and things like that. How many times, I don't know if you hear it, but here we are talking about positivity and accepting what other people do. And the hardest way to turn that is towards yourself. You know, like,
Oh, yes. Tell me more. Yes, please. Because we are so, okay, so we are so hard on ourselves at times.
yeah,
And we expect so much and we project that to others,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Well, especially in acting and, you know, auditioning, years of auditions and things like that. Like, you get, it's very competitive and it's very personal. You know, it's like it's your face and your performance and your, you know, all that stuff. And so it really does cultivate this kind of feeling of, well, they want, you know, I don't know, the auditioners want me to do X and I didn't do it. And my friend got the part. Now I got to watch them on TV. And I think that part of the reason why improv, you know, you say it's good for people to take an improv class or two, is just to see if you can free yourself from a little tiny bit of that. You know, being at the theater and starting out in New York as an actor, like that's very much what it was like, oh, not that guy. Oh, that guy's gonna get it, or, you know, like, oh, this guy's on a team and I'm not. How's that right? You know, and on the one hand, you see people who have a lot of success, especially in entertainment and, you know, film and acting and things like that, are people who are driven by having like a screw loose or two, you know, or like by cultivating that sense of competition or by never trying to like sort of free themselves of this, you know, the feeling of insecurity of like, I got to prove myself. I think that's how you make a lot of money. I think that's how you become famous. But over time, like I've also had this thing of like, well, I want my day to day life to be, you know, tolerable, and I want to appreciate all the stuff that I have in my life. And if
Mhm.
you do that long enough, then I don't know, like the booking things, it it becomes a little bit less. It becomes a little bit less the focus. You know,
Yeah,
I have other reasons to feel proud or whatever, you know, or content or
absolutely.
um,
It will not define you,
yeah,
the number of bookings that you have as a person, as an individual, you know?
yeah. Well, and you know what? Like every single person, you, me, and everybody except for Tom Cruise is going to meet like, you know, whatever career you're in or whatever, you know, social situation you're in. You're going to have your what you bring and you're going to have what society gives back to you, and you're going to have to make, at the end of the day, you will never be 100% validated by, you know, the things you earn or the, you know, the stuff you book. And, you know, I don't know. I don't want to tell people, I don't want to encourage people not to, you know, chase their dreams and work hard. And, you know, if you quiet your mind and you really like, you're like, this is worth the work I'm putting into it, and by all means have it. But at the same time, like, you're going to reach a point where you're like, I took my shot. I got X, Y, and Z out of it. I got to do this thing, and this thing. And but at the end of the day, this is my life. You know, this is not the casting director's life. It's mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's possible. It's good. After a long time of being very competitive and being moderately to minimally successful, or, you know, like whatever that level is, it's nice to be able to cultivate a little internal life where you can say, ah, I'm proud of myself. I do what I like. I live my values. I connect with people, and, you know, and I'm going to be as famous as I'm going to be. And, you know, the ability to be satisfied with yourself is, doesn't always seem like a good thing in, you know, in professional life, or especially in, you know, entertainment, but it's, you deserve it. You really, what is it? There's a friend of mine, one of my real heroes. She's a filmmaker named Claire Ayub. She made a great movie last year called Empire Waste. Go see it. And part of that movie and part of her message for everybody is that this would be a great clip watching a white guy with a beard say this, but like self-love is a radical act, and it's like something that people really deny themselves. As a little kid, and growing up, I can't remember how many times I said to people, like, well, if you feel proud of yourself, then you're just going to slow down. Or, if you acknowledge the good things that happen to you, isn't that just an excuse for being lazy, or like not holding yourself to a higher standard? And that is exactly backwards. I think that the best art and the best, friendship and compatriotism or whatever, it comes from people who know themselves a little bit and who have, kind of an internal source of satisfaction or pride, and auditioning and all those things require you to go out and seek the approval of others. And it really helps if you can do that a little bit skillfully and hold a little back to say, this audition is super important. I'm going to work as hard as I can on it, and I'm going to study, and I'm going to study this profession. I'm going to take classes. I'm going to take comedy classes. I'm going to take acting classes. I'm going to do all that stuff to really work hard, but not because I wouldn't feel whole otherwise. Not because it's that, or I can't live with myself. And so like now to be in a position where you teach a little improv and hang out with your kids, like, I don't know, feels pretty good. It feels pretty good to me.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Tap on your shoulder, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. So thank you for sharing these lovely insights and your wisdom. I was thinking about the voice of reason and the unusual thing.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. So for those of us who are not actors and improvisers, and they are from different industry and listening to this podcast, the voice of reason, I have a master here. I'm going to humbly sit back and let the master explain the voice of reason and the unusual thing. So let's break down the concept, because what is interesting for me is that how we are treating that in comedy and how we can use that in our benefit in our everyday life, in our work, in our relationships, in whatever industry we are in.
Yeah.
How can we cultivate that technique? Could you please?
I think that's hopefully you'll help me answer the last part. So we studied, I teach at, and you have studied at a place in New York called the Upright Citizens Brigade. And it's just the best.
Also, UC, yes.
Yeah.
UC.
But over the years, they've trained a lot of people, and people who studied at UCB have gone on to all sorts of fame and fortune, and they've developed a kind of comedy technique, a way of teaching improv and sketch that all kind of boils down to a philosophy that you can teach for money. And as you're talking about, part of what that is this idea of looking for the first unusual thing, which is to say, if two people get on stage to try and do a comedy act or try to do a scene that's funny, and they both try to do funny things, then all of a sudden you're in a situation that you're almost never in real life, where it's like, this person's weird, they're saying weird stuff. This person's weird, they're saying weird stuff. The audience doesn't understand. This doesn't seem much like a barbershop that I've ever been to. And the two people on stage are like, I don't know, I can keep acting weird or not or whatever. And so these are very broad strokes, but the UCB philosophy a little bit is to say, what if the skill was the ability to just act like you're in an office? What if the skill was to be on stage and act like a bartender and not act weird and just do bartender stuff? And this is something we worked on a lot in class, and something I emphasize a lot when I teach is, we kind of touched on it before, is that the idea of just being weird until you take off into the stratosphere is not useful. It's not relatable. It doesn't get laughs. People having normal reactions to an unusual thing is funny. The things you say that are relatable to the audience are the things that they respond to. And so this thing is, you start a scene and you figure out what's going on, and it's like you and I are just on vacation on a boat. Okay, good. Let's be in Venice. Okay, the Venice, there's the canals. Let's be in this. And it's like, I'm not trying to find rhinoceri or, any of that stuff. I'm just like, what do I know about what's going on and how can I apply that? And then when the little wrinkles happen, because your improviser's on a stage trying to be in a gondola with just a couple chairs, like you'll find the mistake. You'll find how this scene is the way we've gotten off track with reality. And then you just speak to that of like, oh yeah, this is what if the gondola guy was was super jacked and was trying to prove how quickly he could row. Oh, then this is what we would do, and this is the fun we would make of it. We would build it into something else. But it's and you have to knock that out of people. People are like, I take classes because I'm the funny guy in my office. Or, I take classes, I'm a stand-up, I tell jokes all day. I'll do it in this thing too. And it's really hard to cool people off of the idea that you're better off being yourself.
Yeah.
When I'm in an improv scene, sure, you can maybe, you initiate a scene and we're minors and I'm under the earth or something, but like, that's me. Like, I'm like, well, what do I know about that? What would I do if in that situation? And it makes it so much easier. You're just being honest, and some of the audience can relate to, some you can do. And so, yeah, invention is useful. Imagination, yeah, Willy Wonka taught us all. Like, let's do it. But at the same time, like, it's not, and especially like you're saying, relating to other people or being in an office setting and contributing, all along those lines, and the kind of systems that are set up in places like that. It's much, I think you're like, rather than constantly trying to sink the half court shot, it's more about like, yeah, I understand what's going on here. Yeah, I know how to be in a meeting. I understand. Oh, you're feeling a little sick today. I can relate to you and do that thing and let you off the hook or help you out or those things. That kind of baseline is what creates the situation where you can have the genius idea and invent the iPhone or whatever. Or, you can be in family, in family situations or in friendship situations where it's not about like, I'm going to contribute, I'm going to talk and talk and talk, or I'm a genius, I say the right thing all the time. It's not about, it's much more, you can be quiet. You can say the things that are required of human beings for most of the day are things that we can all do, the things that are very simple, kind of honoring of the reality around you, try to perceive a little bit about the other person. And yeah, it's, that philosophy is like, it guides me at home, it guides me in class, it guides me on stage. I think it's like a good, you see all the ways that people are sort of trained away from empathizing with other people or relating to other people or being able to consider themselves part of the same, in the same boat as other people. And then that doesn't ever lead to good stuff, and this other kind of philosophy of, sure, I'll hear you out. You and I are 99%, similar, and we can celebrate the 1%. We can try and get into the 1% difference and all that and do that thing too. But at baseline, yeah, I'm just going to try to understand what you're talking about and make something of it. I think that people respond to that, like people in all contexts. That's what people are looking for. They just want to look across the table and see a person and see the lights on in their eyeballs. And like, that's
For some reason.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love
Because,
it.
exactly. Thank you for breaking that down. So this concept was amazing for me because I do a lot of voice of reason. I would come off, for example, as someone who would come up with this idea and I'm going to win this battle. I know that my idea is the right thing.
Right.
I learned that you can still be the voice of reason, but at the same time be approving of the other person who's doing the unusual thing too. And that will get you so far in your scene and therefore in your relationship that you're creating with that particular individual on the set. What I learned is that, especially when I got correction, when I was doing the voice of reason, my teacher would say, like the person, like the unusual thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't like the unusual thing. Well, what if we do like, I'm telling myself, what if I like the unusual thing and still be the voice of reason?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
that's something I'm always trying. That's a little piece of an improv scene. I always want people to have at their disposal is because this happens. I very deliberately teach lower level classes. I teach 201, 101, and 201. That's like where people improve the most, where they really make these huge leaps. And it's also, I think, where I can teach the stuff that is really what the higher levels boil down to too. And it's what you're talking about happens all the time. Of you talk about these improv scenes. Okay, we're two people in a life raft, yada yada yada, all that entails. And somebody makes a strange move, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to do something that's out of character. I'm going to introduce the element of the scene that's not the baseline reality. I'm going to do the unusual thing." And in the levels I teach, and I think it's just because of the way we converse in society and the internet and all that, is you can get people to say, okay, I see that you're being unusual. And if you're in an improv scene, it's like, thank God, somebody's doing something. The scene's going to be about something. Yes, okay, good. Now we're cooking. But people are so trained to say, like, oh, that doesn't fit. So what are you going to do? You're going to stop because it doesn't fit. So you're going to stop. Wait, we're going to stop, or what's the deal? Like, why are you doing that? And what you're talking about is I think it's a skill in improv, certainly, and a skill in life to say, I see what's going on with you. I'm here for it. I don't think it's normal, and I'm not necessarily going to do that thing. But at the same time, let's see what happens. Like let's let it go and let's see what happens. To me, and as I'm saying this, it feels to me so much how I've related to news and society and trying to relate to people on the internet and things like it's this time of like real upheaval and a lot of negativity. And that attitude too, I think saves me when I look at my damn phone of, okay, something's going on here. It's a lot. I see it for what it is. It's not really. This is not how the world would work if I was the only person. If every person was me. But maybe that's not an emergency. Maybe maybe the fact that my life, like XYZ, I haven't gotten to where I want to get to yet, or this script isn't done, or that thing isn't done. Okay, that's something I don't prefer. Something I wouldn't have chosen. It's a situation. But this should let go a little bit of this thing of like, well, but that's not right. But it's not, or it's like, you learn that after every damn audition. You go, you do the audition, you try to get the thing over the hill and you don't quite get there. Maybe you get some good notes. But at the end of the day, you tried to do X and they said no. And over time you get trained. I think auditioning has trained me as another thing that's like really, really improved my mindset. Is you have to be able, I think it's a skill in life. You got to be able to walk into the room, give it your all, draw on all of your skills and preparation. And then the result of it, you kind of need to be able to let go, and I that to me is another great piece of good comedy, good relationships, like a way to be a good citizen, I guess.
I think everybody should do this stuff because this stuff we don't learn at school. These are specialized skill that you have to, if you want to become an actor, you want to go and train yourself. But these are very valuable human related skills that we can all use in life
Yeah,
to improve our relationships with each other, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
The concept of yes anding. We know but each other.
Right.
We always try to prove our point, and forgive me if I'm generalizing, but as human beings, this is common that we don't really yes and each other in life
Right.
and in our relationships. But in improv, we do, and everything works great.
It's true. No one's ever,
Right?
no one's ever gotten divorced during an improv scene.
Right?
Like,
And everything works out, and everybody everything just works out this way.
yeah, or it becomes as much as it's going to be.
Exactly.
Sometimes the improv scene goes sideways, and it is what it is, and it's like, and everyone's like, all right, we can keep talking. Let's try the next one. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, I've been watching. I watch soccer now a little bit, and that's something that was a real education to me. Was watching soccer, and people will fight. There'll be some sort of little scrimmage, or people fighting over the ball, or some call will go the wrong way. And my emotional training from where I come from, Catholicism and all that stuff, is to think like, oh, that was a problem. Oh, we all just thing didn't work out the way we wanted it to work out. So what's the deal? And in sports, you're like, all right, well, I'm going to run back down to the other end of the field to try it again. And that was a very much like, oh yeah, it's like I care very much. I'm going to give it my all, and then when it's time, and then when it's decided, there's I'm going to. Reality is just going to have to be okay with me. Like
Yeah.
how it turns out. There's no sense. There's no sense in kind of objecting to outcomes. It's like
Hmm.
let's all get in there and give it our all. And where it gets to, we kind of have to see and accept, and then
Move on.
what's the next thing? Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Um, you have done a lot of bold moves in your life.
Yeah, I got to. Yeah. What are I needed to the bold move framing I need to get into here.
Yes. Bold move taker.
People have been like, all right, well, what's the bold move though? I don't know.
Gonna get into
This guy sounds pretty smart, but what were the bold moves?
We
Did,
gotta get into that. So you grew up in a small town,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And then you did your comedy since you were 14, and then you studied in Rhode Island. Is that where you studied?
Yeah, I went to Brown. Yeah, but yeah, in college. Yeah, I was there,
And then
and
you lived in Boston.
yeah, it's all like I'm from Connecticut, and Boston was good. My wife's from that area, and it was a beautiful city with jobs and stuff. And so after we graduated, we moved to Boston, and we both got. And she started in on her sort of corporate career. Thank God. If you're wondering how I'm here, yes, am I married to someone with a real job and a head on her shoulders, and not a comedian? Exactly. That's my other advice is marketable skills. If you don't have them, make friends with people who do. Um, and
Oh God.
and so I immediately started doing comedy, and I worked at Improv Boston, met great people there, met lifelong friends there. And after about 5 or 6 years of that, it was my wife who said to me, she was like, you know what? Like, if you do this here, there's only so much industry and stuff here. Like, if you're going to do this, like, let's do it for real and move to New York.
Oh,
And so we did. We got here's a big move. We got married and quit our jobs and moved to New York all at the same time, which
wow.
was sort of a leap of faith. And I don't recommend I don't recommend anyone do that. Make sure like one thing is working. Like make sure there's like a source of money, or your relationship's okay, or or you have a home. And it's really, yeah, and the rest is history, as they say. It's thank goodness she did that. She's
She sounds very supportive.
oh yeah, and and supportive of a real dreamer, like a real like
Oh,
um
oh, that's such a gift.
oh
Shout out to your wife.
yeah, shout out.
Shout out to your wife and
Hun.
all the supportive partners out there.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of improv wives. My wife has seen more improv shows than is healthy, than the FDA recommends.